What's happening, guys? This is Rob. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And today, I want to take a little bit of a break from talking about the Switch 2 or Metroid Prime 4, any of that fun stuff that dominates all of my gaming thoughts. And I actually want to shift gears a little bit to Xbox and talk about what's going on with Xbox and Microsoft. This huge news that just dropped a few days ago that one of the Forza Horizon games, I guess it's the most recent one, which I think is number 5. Clearly, you can tell I do not follow that franchise. That game is coming to PlayStation 5 this spring. This is a big deal. This is following a lot of news and theories, speculation, rumors that have been going around for a while now that more and more Xbox first-party published and developed titles might be going out to other platforms, that being PlayStation and Nintendo. So, yeah, as I just alluded to, I don't know anything about the Forza series. In fact, I would say it was only about maybe 2 years ago that I realized that Forza and Forza Horizon are actually two different franchises in the Forza, IP, or two different, long-running series, right? There's regular Forza games, and then there's Forza Horizon games. I have no idea what the difference is. I know they're very popular games. They're like, Microsoft's racing sim equivalent to what Gran Turismo is for PlayStation. Totally love the fact that other people love them, but it's just not my genre of game. I'm not really a big racing game guy anyway. When I think of racing games that I like, it's pretty much all Nintendo racing games, Mario Kart, F-Zero, Wave Race, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know much about Forza, obviously. I don't play it. I'm not interested in it. I will not be playing it on either the Xbox or the PlayStation 5, but it is one of Microsoft's biggest previously exclusive IPs. And so to have a Forza game break out of the kind of Xbox exclusivity bracket and make its way to its direct competitor, PlayStation, is a pretty big deal. And a lot of people are very excited about it, as they should. I totally understand. I, however, have, I think, mixed and very different opinions than a lot of people when it comes to this decision. And while there are some goods that come with it, of course, and I'll talk about those, I kind of think there are more bads when we look at the overall health of the gaming industry and specifically Microsoft's own business. Now, to be fair, I think we all saw this coming. In the last year to 2 years, we've seen a lot more of Microsoft's exclusive games or IPs start to break away from Microsoft and make their way over to Nintendo and Sony platforms, right? Stuff like, Grounded and Sea of Thieves. This was stuff that was popping up around a year ago, back when there were talks that maybe Starfield was going to break away from the Xbox Series X and become available on other platforms as well. And yeah, we've seen that. I mean, even Cuphead and the 2 Ori games, those have also become available in recent years on other platforms. So Microsoft's strategy has started to grow away from the Xbox as a platform. They're focusing on Game Pass as a game launcher on any single device and screen under the sun. And they're totally okay with buying things like Activision and Call of Duty and Bethesda with Elder Scrolls and Doom and stuff like that, and just letting all of these IPs that they technically own just be available on any platform, including their direct competitors. It's an interesting strategy. And so to see Forza now break out, this is kind of a bigger deal than anything prior, right? Because this has always been Microsoft's. This isn't the same as buying Call of Duty and Elder Scrolls and whatnot, and then allowing those to remain multi-platform. This is something that they internally created. A franchise that's 10 or some odd years old, maybe even older, now suddenly being made available on the PlayStation 5 and probably eventually the Switch 2 and whatever. This represents a larger business change and business strategy for Microsoft. And there have been talks also in recent weeks, even before Forza Horizon 5 was confirmed to be coming to the PlayStation 5 in the last couple of days, there were talks that maybe rumors saying that even Halo, the Master Chief Collection, might be coming to Sony and Nintendo platforms. This is all very crazy. And like I said, there are some goods, but overall, personally, as an old school gamer who likes the walls of exclusivity for certain franchises for each individual platform, I do not like this at all. So let's get a couple of things straight here and talk about what is positive about Forza coming to PlayStation, about the idea of things like Halo or Gears of War, Microsoft's tentpole franchises and like the core of their identity as a hardware platform in the console space. The good things to these things breaking away from Microsoft and being made available is that, yes, more people get to play them. And so, of course, any good game or franchise, let's take away any of the consoles out of it. Any good game or franchise being made available to more people to play, yes, in the simplest form is a good thing because, hey, here's a good video game. As many people as possible should be able to play it. And I agree with that. And so Forza going to PlayStation gamers who maybe have decided they never want to own an Xbox, but they're interested in Forza, sure, more people will now get to play this Forza game. And so that's good for the game itself and for people who have PlayStations but not Xboxes. I agree with that. If Halo Master Chief Collection or any Halo game comes to PlayStation and or Nintendo consoles, more people will get to play those games, so it is good for those games and people who own those platforms but do not own an Xbox. I agree with that also. On the most basic surface level, I love the idea of more people being able to play more great games. And again, going back to the Halo thing, which is kind of more exciting for me to talk about because I'm a huge Halo fan, whereas I don't really care about Forza, even though Forza is the confirmed game to be going to PlayStation. So if we look at something like Halo, it's such a great franchise that in a world where people own Nintendo or PlayStation consoles, but they don't own an Xbox, sure, I like the idea of people being able to access Halo again. And so it's important to note that on its surface, I do love and support the idea of more people being able to play any certain game. However, I do think that exclusive content to a console manufacturer and exclusive IPs to a company is so important. Now, yes, I'm an old guy. I'm an old man who's an older gamer. And so I was forged in the fires of like Sega versus Nintendo, and Atari has their own IPs and Nintendo has their own and Sega has their own, Mario versus Sonic and whatnot. And this carried through into the introduction of the PlayStation, you know? And so throughout those eras until recent years, it was always really important to know that you get certain kinds of games on one platform and certain kinds of games on another platform. They're all good. And if you want to access this game, you have to own this platform. If you want to access that game, you have to own that platform. And so that created competition, which is always healthy and good for any industry, and it's good for any product. It makes sure that prices stay competitive, and it makes sure that the companies in the video game space are trying their best to make the best product to convince you to buy their platform. When we break these walls of exclusivity down, it de-incentivizes companies from trying to make the best product or create the best value with how they monetize their product for the consumer. And so we need exclusivity to create the identity for Microsoft, Nintendo, or Sony. We need the exclusivity to create value to the Xbox or the Switch or the PlayStation. And we need it to make sure that talking larger scale, and this isn't a problem in gaming yet, but it could be in years down the road, to make sure that they're fighting for the best price. Because, you know, you can make an analogy like this might sound silly, but if you go to the fast food industry, right, you can make an analogy between the Big Mac and the Whopper. If there is no Whopper, then the Big Mac might cost $15. But because the Big Mac and the Whopper and Burger King and McDonald's are fighting for like the best famous burger at the best price, they work against each other to create the best value of like price for the best quality burger, right? I know it sounds silly, but if you guys can follow what I'm talking about in terms of business, I think you'll understand what I'm trying to say. It's not a new concept that competition in any one space has always been good. It's good for the industry you're talking about, and it's good for the consumer, the people buying the products within that industry. And you can take the Big Mac versus the Whopper and make it the PlayStation versus the Xbox. And so it's important for Sony to fight for their first parties to raise the value in the eye of the consumer for the PlayStation, just like it is for Microsoft. And so since Microsoft isn't a third-party developer, okay, they are a platform. They make Xbox consoles. They want you and me to buy their Xbox hardware. They want us to keep buying their Xbox hardware because remember, whoops, that's how passionate I am. Remember, Microsoft is planning to make another Xbox and they want to sell you and me that next Xbox. Well, in order for that next Xbox to have any value, we need to know that games like Halo, Gears of War, or Forza will only be available on that Xbox. If we have no reason to think that those games are only going to be on the next Xbox, then Microsoft don't even make another Xbox. Don't spend the money and the manpower and the R&D to make any hardware whatsoever. Commit to being third party, and then it's going to make a lot more sense for Halo and Forza to be available on your competition. Truly, this whole concept for me comes down to the fact that as far as we understand, Microsoft is still committed to the Xbox brand as a piece of gaming hardware. Something that you buy for a couple of $100, set underneath your TV, and it sits there, and that's your access to video games. And I know Game Pass, PC platform, that's a whole different part of this that obviously I'm not talking about. I'm focused on the console space because that's what I care about, and Xbox still technically is a video game home console. There are 2 Xboxes on the market right now representing the current Xbox generation, and as I've mentioned, and as I think it was Sarah Bond who told us this a year or 2 ago, that they're working on the next Xbox. They're already planning a next generation Xbox hardware console. And so in a world where Microsoft is telling us, hey, we're going to keep making Xbox generations, well, once you tell me that, that's when I think you need to maintain your exclusives. So Forza Horizon 5, to get back to like the game that really is, you know, the insinuating part of this conversation, Forza Horizon 5 breaking out to their direct competition, PlayStation 5, and let's be honest, probably the Switch 2 once that comes out as well, that devalues the Xbox brand as a piece of gaming hardware. Now, if Microsoft has already told us, like, look, the Series X is the last home console we're ever going to make. Once we're done here, we're going multi-platform. We're focused on Game Pass on PC, and we're focused on bringing our games, whether that's Bethesda games, Activision games, all the Microsoft first-party games, stuff like Halo and Forza. We're just going to let those go to PC, Nintendo, and Sony for all time. We are now officially third-party. We are not a first-party home console manufacturer. If they told us that, totally different story. So I hope that that is also something that you guys understand from my opinion here and take away from this. If they go third-party, great. Then yes, of course Halo and Gears of War should be available on every platform. That's what third-party developers, for the most part, are supposed to do. Barring the occasional, like, third-party exclusive, then yes, that's what Halo should do. I want to play Halo on my PS5 or my Switch 2 or whatever. And people who like Forza, yes, you should play it on whatever platform you want. But again, they've told us they're making another Xbox. So in a world where they're going to be a hardware manufacturer and they want to be in this console fight against PlayStation and Switch, then you got to maintain these IPs. So I just don't understand what the hell Xbox is doing. And that, I think, is the last bullet point and talking point I want to focus on here, is what are they doing? What the heck is Xbox even trying to get at here? They're trying to still be a home console manufacturer, but also they're going to let Forza and probably eventually Halo and Starfield and Gears of War, you know, these big IPs we talk about. Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation 5. Oh my God, I forgot about that too. So this spring, Indiana Jones and Forza Horizon 5 are going to PlayStation 5. What? So they're trying to be the home console manufacturer and they want all of their IPs to be available on other platforms. So what are you, Microsoft? What are you, Xbox? You're nothing. You're kind of nothing. And this could sound negative, and I'm not part of this console war fanboy bullshit. Like, you guys know me. I'm not a part of that. I love Nintendo, but I love all three. I own all three. I play my PlayStation 5 way more than I play anything else right now. And so I'm not pro this and anti that. I like the Xbox brand. I want them to remain as a hardware manufacturer. I want them to make another Xbox generation. And because I want that, I also want the value of that to be in their exclusive IPs. Keep Forza and Halo and Gears of War exclusive to you. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, it's not about breaking down the barriers for people to play games. It's about building up the value of your device and your console and your brand. It's actually a positive thing for IPs to remain exclusive. Breaking them down hurts everything, and I think it's unhealthy for the industry, right? So, I mean, that's the message I'm getting at here, obviously. And so Microsoft is like trying to have their cake and eat it too. I don't know what the long-term business plan is. I don't know how this is good for their brand, because they're going to make this next Xbox in the next couple of years probably. And like, if by that point Halo and Forza and Starfield and whatever are all multi-platform, who is going to go out of their way to buy an Xbox? Not many people. Probably like less than 10 million people probably, because people will focus on playing Microsoft games like Halo on their PCs, their PlayStations, and their Nintendo consoles. So Microsoft is probably spending hundreds of millions of dollars and manpower, people that they're paying, people that they've hired to develop this hardware that no one is going to want because it has no value. People are already dedicated to Nintendo and PlayStation platforms. And so why break out of that to buy an Xbox? Now, if the next Xbox comes out and that's the only place to play Halo and Forza, maybe even, let's pretend it was also a world where even Call of Duty could only be played there, then Microsoft, people are going to buy your Xbox because that's the only place to play those games. So this is kind of devolved at the end of this video to me explaining like the most basic principles of exclusive games and why they're important. And so, and the larger picture to that is that, and I've already touched on it here, the whole Burger King analogy was part of this, is the fact that exclusive content and competition is healthy for the gaming industry. Some people view the competition and exclusive content as like bad for the industry or bad for the gamer and the consumer. And while I understand where they're coming from, I think that's people who don't see the whole picture or don't understand how the business is supposed to work. I feel like the companies in the industry are fighting harder for me, that they almost respect me more by trying to make better products for their exclusive content and their exclusive consoles to earn my dollar. When I know Microsoft is keeping Halo exclusive to them, I know they're fighting for my dollar because they see value in me and value in where I'm going to spend my money. Once they say, forget it, Halo, Forza, who gives a shit? Just throw it everywhere. You get a Halo, you get a Halo, you get a Halo. I'm like, you don't even value Halo, so you don't value where I spend my money. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but I feel like a company is respecting me and respecting my dollar and where I choose to spend it by fighting to make the best product at the best price exclusive to their device. If that makes sense. I know not everyone is going to understand that, but I think a lot of you guys will understand that. So anyway, I've rambled on long enough about this. Obviously, Forza Horizon 5 isn't really the topic of this discussion, as I'm sure you've known. It was just the Kickstarter to this, because it's like, sure, on its surface, in the early days of this happening, it's cool that PlayStation gamers will get to play this racing game. Great. But it's like the beginning steps to something like pretty bad. Just like smartphones were really exciting and they added convenience in the very beginning, now they're like the worst thing imaginable. Social media was fine and harmless in the very beginning in like the early to mid 2000s. It was an exciting thing that had no negative effects. Well, look at us today. It's one of the worst things humanity has created, and we all interact with it, and it's made everything worse. But in the beginning, it just seemed fine and harmless. Just like maybe, taking one game, Forza Horizon 5, and just scooting it over to the PlayStation 5, that's harmless. More people are playing this Forza game. That's great. But what that could mean, the seed that could be planting for 10 to 15 years down the road is potentially, in the bubble of the video game industry, super, super negative. Maybe I'm wrong, but the way I see things, I see it as a bad thing and a bad sign. And so I just think exclusives are good, and I don't like what Microsoft is doing. I don't know what their brand is. Are they a home console manufacturer? Are they a third-party developer? Are they a Game Pass game launcher for every screen under the sun? Are they all of the above? If they're all of the above, that's bad. They're doomed to fail. If they should just abandon the Xbox as a home console, even though I don't want that, just abandon it, bro. just do that and become a third-party developer, man. Make room for someone else to come in. That's the best case scenario for them if this is really what they want to do. So anyway, good Lord, have I rambled, because I really, really care about this topic. I believe in exclusivity. You should too if you care about the health of this industry and this hobby that we love. That's what I think. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below, and I'll see you next time.